All right, so now I'm going to go over the final boss for Nefarian, the Blackwing Descent on Heroic. Go over a few of the mistakes that I made, a couple of other things here and there that could have been done better. But this fight really relies on the off tanks. So if you have a good off tank, if you are a good off tank, this fight just really just depends on you. All right, so we're starting uh, up on the platform like every group does, but I am currently going to be starting on DPSing Onyxia down as much as I possibly can in one Berserk window, just because I'm tanking Neff for the first phase. So everything that you would normally do as a cat, you still do for Oni if you are taking Neff. As soon as the electrocute goes out from Oni is when I'm swapping over to Neff, getting as much threat into him as I possibly can. Just pump straight into Oni until that time. And shortly here comes the electrocute or the lightning discharge. So now I'm swapping over to Neff. You want to try and get at least a couple of things in on him so that you can have some extra threats and pull him to the far side. Um, Beforehand, I was getting a PS, um, trying to save my personal cooldowns for later. I got the overlapping PS, which doesn't really help that I already had survival instincts popped. I wanted to use that PS for later, but it is totally okay to use both of those cooldowns at the same time. It's just a matter of like you have to prepare yourself to get hit pretty hard. Our other third tank is a warrior for this, so he will be using safeguard on me for the second electrocute. First electrocute, I am using a frenzied regen just to get the extra HP and healing out. You also need to make sure that you're calling out for all of your people that are going into Neff that they need to break it ASAP. Like as soon as they hit Neff, they need to break it. Just because if they get caught by a cleave or even a breath from him, they are going to die if they get very unlucky. So they just got to watch their timers, their positioning of where their portal is, and so on. So here comes the second crackle. I have a safeguard, so I'm taking less damage. And we get him down to about 72, 73 ish before we have most of the DPS to swap. Now, I'll say most of the DPS just because we want to push that third crackle before going into the phase just to make it a lot easier to get him down for the final bit. Um, I'm stopping DPS because we need to get a little bit more on Oni, and the crackle is going to come out here, and Oni is just about dead. I didn't get another external from there because ideally you want to be with the group so I can savage roar or stampeding roar the group away. Here is phase two. Now for phase two, jumping in out of the lava is not a good idea. Ideally you just want to kind of ride it up to the top because the more that you jump in and out, the more stacks you're going to get faster. So don't do that. Don't do what I just did. But it's pretty much like you're killing one mob at this point, getting all the interrupts. Ideally, you're just a backup interrupt because I don't have the improved interrupt as an off tank, which is a-okay. Depends on what your group needs. But yeah, I'm jumping a lot. Don't do that. Just swim through the lava. You take less stacks that way. And then once the mob hits about 40% is when I'm going to start to want to build up my vengeance stacks. Ideally, you get it high enough that you are at max when the kiting begins. But it's okay if you aren't. The main thing is killing these things at the same time if you're using the strategy where you have everybody split, which is what we are doing. So I am trying to help kill it as much as I possibly can, and then getting ready for the ad kiting. Now, for the ad kiting is very stressful, and you need to make sure that you're either calling for externals or whatever you can. My main goal is to try and pick them up as soon as possible. So I'm prepping a explosive bomb here just to see if I can grab them as soon as they come up. The bomb didn't go off. I moved, which is kind of bad, but overall I did end up picking them up and pulling them away. Your group needs to watch out for the fires because you can't always watch for the fires. It's kind of hard to see. Sometimes you just got to aim your camera a little bit differently. About 2 to 3 seconds before the Shadow Blaze Spark comes out, I am going to be moving them. I failed to do it here, so a couple of them get clipped, but that's okay. The first time that they get clipped, if they do it on the very first Shadow Blaze Spark after they spawn, it's okay. You want to try and reset them as soon as possible, but giving yourself and your team enough time. So now I move right before that next one's cast. So that way they don't get any stacks. There should be some of them that fall over, and it's okay if they reset because now that we only have a few, these ones should fall over on the next cast around because he should be targeting them for the next spark. So I'm moving slightly, and these ones are going to reset, which is perfect for me. Now, picking up these other ones is the tricky part. That's why we have the third tank, is to help pick up the extra ones. And I just taunt or just do extra damage to them, and he is just picking them up. We got lucky on that second spark spawn as soon as they spawn back up. So I am going to get as much as I possibly can on me so that he can actually get the majority of threat on the rest of them. And we're kind of trying to split our damage taken here. And after you reset them the first time, the Shadow Blaze Spark goes to 15-second cast instead of 30 seconds. So we are like constantly moving at this point. Our next goal is to try and get them to reset again. We've got a few of them that are low that are going to fall over, and so we're just trying not to get them clipped. I did get a few of them clipped, so it kind of messes up the whole thing, but that's okay. You just got to rotate through your cooldowns, rotate as much as you possibly can, and just keep moving. Now, even more of them are clipped, but Neff is down to almost 10%. We have one more crackle coming out here shortly. And at this point, we are basically just running the whole time. And here comes the last crackle. So I'm going to get away from the ad so I can get healed up and then get that crackle out. I'm down, and so is the other tank. We should have been calling for armies a little bit sooner. Even calling for those Ringus of Frost really helps. We got super lucky on this, and everybody died, but we still killed the boss. It's not an ideal way of doing it. We didn't get a few of the resets we wanted to do, but making sure you're watching the timers, making sure you're still moving for each of the casts does make this a lot cleaner. This is probably the worst kill that we have done, but this is the only one I actually have recorded. So yeah. All right, so that concludes the final 13th boss on Heroic for the tier that is currently out for Cata. If you have any questions, again, feel free to comment, leave a like if you like the video. But yeah, have a good day.